You ever have someone try to use fear against you, thinking they can corner you into submission? Well, that's exactly what my brother-in-law tried. He demanded $100,000 from me like I was some kind of ATM. And when I refused, he threatened to destroy everything I had. But here's the thing about threats. They only work if the other person is scared. And I wasn't. Because I already had a plan. One that would turn his arrogance into pure fear. If you've ever been manipulated, blackmailed, or underestimated, you're going to love how this story ends. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because this is one revenge story where calmness became the deadliest weapon. It started on a rainy Tuesday night. I was sitting at my kitchen table, sorting bills, when my phone rang. The name on the screen made my stomach twist. Rick. My brother-in-law. Rick was married to my younger sister, and ever since their wedding, he'd been nothing but trouble. Flashy, loud, always talking about his business deals, yet somehow always broke. The kind of man who wore designer shoes but borrowed money to pay his phone bill. When I answered, his voice was calm, too calm. "Hey buddy," he said. "I need a small favor. Just $100,000. I almost laughed, thinking it was a joke. But his tone turned icy. "I'm serious. I owe money to people you don't want to mess with. If I don't pay soon, they'll come after me. Maybe even after Jen and the kids." My daughter Jennifer adored her aunt, so hearing him say her name like that made my blood run cold. "Rick, don't bring my family into this. You made your bed. You lie in it." He chuckled, low and mocking. "You're rich, aren't you? You can afford it. Think about it, or you might regret it." That last sentence stuck with me. You might regret it. Not a plea, a threat. I hung up, my heart pounding. Part of me wanted to storm over and confront him. But another part, the part my old mentor, Detective Harris, had trained years ago, told me to breathe, observe, and plan. Because revenge tastes best when it's served with proof. 2 days later, Jennifer showed up at my house. She was pale, eyes red from crying. "Dad," she whispered. "Uncle Rick came by Mom's place. He said he needed that money. He looked desperate." That's when I knew this wasn't just about money anymore. Rick wasn't scared of debt collectors. He was addicted to gambling. And people like him don't stop until someone stops them. I put a comforting hand on my daughter's shoulder. "Don't worry, Jen. I'll take care of it." But not the way he expects. That night, I went into my old study, a quiet room filled with dusty files and memories from when I worked as a private investigator. It had been years since I'd done real surveillance work, but the skills never fade. I pulled out my old notebook and started a file titled Rick, the Debt Trap. Over the next week, I followed him discreetly. He wasn't hard to track. He went to the same dingy poker club 3 nights in a row. And on the 4th night, I caught the jackpot, not of cards, but of evidence. He wasn't gambling with strangers. He was gambling with his boss's money. I took photos, timestamps, even recorded his drunken boasts. "That old man will pay my debts. He's too soft to say no." He didn't know it, but every word was sealing his own fate. When he called me again, his voice had changed, sharp, threatening. "You think I'm playing around? I need that money, or I'll tell everyone what you've been hiding." I played dumb. "What I've been hiding?" I asked. He laughed. "Don't act innocent. You've been investing secretly. Insider stuff, right? Imagine what people would think if that got out." There it was. A bluff. He thought he could blackmail me with a rumor. That's when I decided the game was over. Time to flip the board. I told him calmly. "Rick, meet me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Bring all your proof. I'll bring the cash." He showed up at a downtown cafe, leather jacket, sunglasses indoors, smirk on his face. He thought he'd already won. I slid an envelope across the table. He grabbed it eagerly, but when he opened it, his smile froze. Inside weren't stacks of money, but photos. Photos of him gambling. Photos of him stealing from his boss. And a neat little USB drive labeled evidence, Rick M. His face went pale. "What is this?" I leaned back. "It's your confession, Rick. I'm sending this to your employer and the police if you ever come near my family again." He tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked. "You wouldn't." I smiled. "You bet your last chip I would." Then I stood up, leaving him shaking at the table. gripping the envelope like a man holding his own obituary. 2 days later, Rick was fired. His boss received an anonymous email with all the evidence, and the gambling club was raided soon after. I didn't hear from him again, until a week later, when he sent a short message. "I'm sorry. I need help." I never replied. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Jennifer later told me he'd moved out of state to start over. Good for him. I hope he finally learned that manipulation only digs your own grave deeper. Looking back, I realized something powerful. Revenge doesn't always mean destroying someone. Sometimes it just means reminding them who they're dealing with. People like Rick feed on fear. They only win if you play their game. But when you stay calm, patient, and strategic, you don't just survive. You take back your power. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to outsmart someone who tried to manipulate you? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories where karma always finds its way home. Because sometimes, revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting free.